Hello, this is America Weather Streaming Decision Weather Ag Meteorologist Chris Sramek with our first High Plains Changing Times Ag Weather Report of the new year. When we last left off there after Christmas and ending 2023, we reported and updated on that Christmas blizzard where we saw 4 to 8 inches of snow across the tri-state region and upwards to a foot or more up there in Nebraska and the Dakotas. However, at that time, we were about an inch to an inch and a quarter behind our annual precipitation numbers, and that was mostly due to a dry second half of the summer and virtually no precipitation in the fall until we caught some snow around Halloween, then again on Thanksgiving. We ended both November and December with monthly totals around an inch and a half inch, which was normal for those months, which are typically drier as we pick up more snow, generally in the second half as we move into later February and March. However, at that time, we were forecasting a potential blizzard to start the new year and some Arctic cold that could follow. And boy, did that sure hit. We ended up there on the 8th through the 10th of getting anywhere from another 4 to 8 inches of snow. We saw blowing drifts of upwards to 3 to 5 foot. In some locations even got 12 inches or more in parts of Wallace, Greeley, and Leota counties. To the north and east through areas to the east of Oakley, around Grinnell, and parts of western Gove County. Then that was followed by record cold as a polar vortex worked 10 to 20 below zero air down from western Canada, down the front range of the Rockies, all the way to eastern Oklahoma. This cold air surge set record temperatures all along that stretch and reaching the Gulf of Mexico with below freezing temperatures. As we ended 2023, the National Drought Mitigation Center Drought Monitor had the region in abnormally dry to the moderate drought categories. Now, as we end the month of January, we saw about a category of improvement in those areas along the Smoky where there was heavier snowfall, and south of Hayes to Larned and Dodge City where some rain fell before it started snowing. Elsewhere, we saw no change and remained in the abnormally to moderate drought, and most of those areas lied north of I-70 into southwestern Nebraska along the Republican River, with a small area of extreme to severe drought in eastern Graham and western Rooks County. Area state Mesonet maps showed anywhere from 0 to a half inch of January rain across the state of Nebraska, and a quarter of inch to 2 1/4 inch across Kansas, and 4 3/4 inches across Oklahoma from the northwest to the southeast. When you add in the winter snowfall to date of 10 to 20 inches across all of eastern Colorado, Nebraska, and Kansas, and 3 to 12 inches in northern Oklahoma and the Panhandle, 12-month moisture totals are back to normal and heading towards surplus. This correlates with the news that the drought improvement in those states was around 1 category. And when you add that to last week's surge of 2 to 8 inches of rainfall across the Arklatex, the Midwest, and southern Mississippi Delta, the majority of the major agriculture regions in the country are getting very beneficial winter moisture. And it'll be interesting to watch if there's any improvement in the drought monitor next week or the following as we add in that surge of Gulf moisture and its overrunning of the Arctic air mass that was setting in the Midwest that brought the quarter to half inch of ice and freezing rain to eastern Oklahoma and Kansas, Missouri and Iowa, and northern Indiana and Illinois, and the large area of lighter freezing fog and rain that extended north and south from Amarillo to Aberdeen and east and west from the Kansas-Colorado border to Chicago and St. Louis, and again into northern Indiana and southern Wisconsin. These are all areas that have been in prolonged extreme drought through the last couple of growing seasons due to back-to-back La Niñas, and as this current El Niño has peaked this past fall and early winter and is in weakening phase moving forward into spring, will we see an active southern jet continue in February? Well, the current long-range forecasts are trending positively in that direction, that we'll see another 6 weeks of round 2 winter after Groundhog Day. And on another note, this winter has been a tale of extremes when it comes to temperatures. It all started with record warmth the first 3 weeks of October, followed by a record cold snap that spanned the entire country from east of the Rockies to northern Alabama and Georgia to end the month and for Halloween. That was followed by a couple of the warmest Novembers and Decembers on record. That then was followed by the record polar vortex here in the middle of January. It spanned all the way from the Pacific Northwest to southern Georgia and northern Florida. And now what's next for February and the rest of the winter heading into the spring? Well, we started this conversation on Friday's Weather Talk. This will also be the topic for the Groundhog to make his final determination on Friday. However, long-range computer models and ocean teleconnects are indicating that the cold air will return to areas east of the Rockies, while 3 to 4 systems line up in the Pacific that'll track through the Four Corners and Southern Plains and off to the north and east, with round 2 of winter weather for 6 weeks after Groundhog Day that could bring more flooding rains to the northwest and southeast, heavy snows to the mountains, and blizzards and ice storms to the Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. This will be good news for this year's agricultural crops, but worrying for ranchers that are starting to calve, and not so cheery for the human psyche, and overtime for our city, state, and school workers and emergency managers. This concludes this Changing Times Ag Weather Report. Please come back and to view past and future reports, daily weather talks, and weather information from across the country from our AWS certified weather team. Visit myweathernow.com. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and leave in the comments where and how you would like to receive your free Groundhog Day daily personalized weather forecasts.